Welcome to Journey of Enlightenment. I am your host, Dr. Roger Gopal. We all know the adage which says, patience is a virtue. But we all know that it is easier said than done. To have patience requires one to have a sense of self-control, to have a sense of self-gentleness, to have a sense of self-love. Today's topic, we would look at practical patience. Many of us live in a time where we are confronted with so many different elements of life, but those elements require immediate action, sometimes immediate desires, and immediate expectations. Patience then requires us to exercise in a very practical manner an attitude of waiting for an event, for an occurrence, but without falling into the trap of bitterness, anger, frustration, anxiety, or discouragement. In the 16th century, Francis de Sales, a 16th century scholar, said that it is important for us to have patience with everything, but it is important that we have patience with ourselves. What exactly is this concept of patience? As I said already, patience is the ability to wait. When we wait with an attitude that could either foster feelings of anger or anxiety, or an attitude where we are still in a sense of control of our feelings and control of our responses. We live in a world where everything seems to be instant. We have instant coffee, we have instant news as it is being updated every second of the day as it happens. We tend to develop, as a result of our expectations, that sense of instant gratification. Unfortunately, this is what we tend to lean on. So we want information readily. We want it now. We want things to happen in our lives now. We want answers now. And when it doesn't work out exactly as we want, then we run into frustration. We lack the necessary patience. I know a particular friend of mine who lost patience with himself. Why? Because he had certain expectations in life. His expectations were, one, at a certain age, by age 22 to 23, he must finish university. But it did not happen as he wanted. Due to unfortunate circumstances, his graduation was delayed. He was most upset with himself. He blamed himself, even though it was not his fault for such a delay. He identified by age 30 he would like to be in a particular position in his career. It did not work out exactly as he had imagined it, but neither was it bad. But again, he blamed himself. He was most frustrated that it did not work out exactly as he had planned in the year that he had expected it to be. And the same went for different aspects of his personal life. It did not work out exactly as he expected it to be. As a result, this friend of mine was very anxious and very impatient with himself and with life. Many of us might say, okay, that is a bit extreme in terms of his behavior, but yet we exhibit some of that behavior in our everyday lives. We are going to work, and if there's too much traffic on the road, do we fight with the traffic? Do we use obscenities to describe our delay? Do we behave in a manner that is unbecoming of a gentle person? If the traffic light is taking too long to change, do we then start hurling obscenities at the traffic light as well? These are important questions that we ask ourselves. If we are in the queue, in a line, waiting to buy a ticket, but it is taking too long, how do we then behave? Do we become frustrated with the cashier? Do we become frustrated with the customer service rep? Do we then hurl abusive language towards them? These are all aspects of our lives in which we may somehow or the other display levels of impatience. It is then very important for us, as Francis de Sales said, we must have patience with all things. But let us begin by having patience with ourselves. So let us take a look at why do we lose patience with ourselves? What causes it? Many a times it's because of the mistakes that we make. We blame ourselves for making certain mistakes in life, misjudgments, missteps, perhaps a wrong business decision, perhaps a wrong relationship, maybe even something that we should have done one way but we did it the other. And we tend to take these mistakes and devalue ourselves. One of the main problems that we face in life is the need that we sometimes feel to attack ourselves, to become very self-condemning. Patience with ourselves will tell us that we should not take our mistakes and devalue our real virtue, our real selves. No one is perfect in this world. No one has it all together. It is not possible. But our value system, who we are as an individual, that value identity, cannot and should not be changed. Our real nature will forever be our state of bliss consciousness, which is our joy, our peace, our love, our compassion, goodness, our kindness. That is our real nature. In the journey of life, many a times we may reach points where we would make mistakes. But those mistakes should not define you as a person. It just means that at that point in time, things did not go as it should have gone. But your value as a person should remain intact. It means that your value of joy and love, of peace and kindness should never be changed nor compromised. Patience with the self requires self-forgiveness, self-gentleness. When we do make a mistake, do you tell yourself, verbally or mentally, I am a foolish person. Why am I so stupid to do something like this? Or do you tell yourself, yes, it was an error in judgment, or I did not estimate this the way that I should have, but I do have the chance to make corrections. I do have the opportunity to make amends. What do you choose? Which direction do you choose? The decision that you make, that self-talk at that point in time, will determine the level of patience that you exercise with yourself. I will share a story about a friend of mine, John. John worked in a marketing company. He was given a particular project to do. His project was to devise an ad campaign for a particular company, a particular product actually. John was to deliver this in 1 month's time, which meant that he had to come up with a catchphrase, with the right actors to be in the ad, pitch this to the company that hired his firm, and ensure that they got the contract. John was under tremendous pressure. Not because of the work in itself, because he enjoyed what he did. John felt that his supervisor was a bit too bossy, a bit too demanding. Expectations were a little too high, according to John. John became very frustrated and he wanted to leave his job. Conversations with John revealed that he was focusing on the immediate impact that he was facing at that point in time, and thus losing patience. John was then asked a few questions, and the first question asked of John was, who controls your emotions? John paused. Who controls your emotions? Is it someone else or you? Could the traffic make you angry? Or do you allow yourself to be angry? Is your supervisor making you angry? Is it even possible? Or do you allow yourself, by your own thought processes, to be angry? Who is responsible for your emotions? John paused, and he answered truthfully, I am responsible for my own emotions. I choose how I react or respond to given situations. And yes, John was right. You choose. You choose your emotions. You choose how you react with whatever you feel. But the choice is yours. A second question was asked of John, which was, did you look at this situation from the perspective of your supervisor? Or did you look at it strictly from your own viewpoint? John thought about it for a moment and he responded. He said, I did not see it from my supervisor's perspective. I only looked at it from mine. What was good for me? What I wanted as my gratification right now. So when pressed further, John responded that his supervisor was also under tremendous pressure. The marketing company that he was working in had very little contracts over the past 2 years, and this was a major deal for them. They had to get this contract. John's supervisor was also involved in many other projects, this one being a critical project. So he was also under tremendous pressure. And he was trying his best to ensure that everybody won. John broadened his perspective. He looked at it from other people's viewpoint, from a wider scope in terms of what was happening. And he learned how to be gentle with himself and then gentle with others. He got through the month, they received a contract, and in hindsight, John said, had I taken a better attitude before and not negatively react, but have a calculated and measured response, I would have saved myself many anxious moments. He learned a very important lesson in life. It is important to have patience with everything. But more importantly, let's start by having patience with ourselves. The deeper question is, why do we lose patience? What causes us to fall into this trap, into this dungeon of frustration, despair, discouragement? The answer is basically twofold. One, what causes us to lose patience is when there is an expectation that hasn't been met. We see it in so many relationships now, especially relationships that are not very healthy, where one partner, whether it be the boy or the girl, whether it be between friends, would have an expectation of the other. I remember a particular case where the husband told the wife that I will stop behaving badly the day you make me happy. Is that a correct expectation? Is that a realistic expectation? Is that an expectation where you shift responsibility towards someone else rather than taking responsibility yourself? When we create expectations and those expectations are unrealistic, unfair, or impractical, and those expectations are not met, we become angry and frustrated. So that is one reason. A second reason why we tend to be impatient with ourselves and with life is that we tend to have results or actions or things happening to us that we did not expect but did not want. So, like for instance, we may fall ill. It's not something that we want or expected, but it happened. We may lose a friend for one reason or the next that we did not expect, but it happened. We didn't blame ourselves. I should have done more. I should have been there. And we become frustrated. We become angry. We become discouraged. What is the solution? Should we have no expectations in life? Well, that is not really practical, is it? But what we can do, we can have realistic goals, realistic ambitions, and we pursue those with all our strength and passion. We keep those dreams alive. And it is so fine, it is important that we have those goals, those objectives in life. But we must learn the art of being able to wait with grace when things doesn't work out exactly as we expected, or if something happens to us that we did not expect. That sense of grace means that we hold on to our calmness, our peace of mind when things do not go as we wanted to go at that point. We keep ourselves in equipoise. We keep ourselves focused, knowing fully well that we are in full control of our feelings, of our emotions and how it is expressed. We are in full control of the way we respond to life. So, my dear friends, let us choose a response that is beautiful, that is compassionate, that is graceful, that is patient. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition of Journey of Enlightenment.